Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to visit a few topics in the form of a list. There's things I think the PvP enjoyers in Destiny, and even in other games, need to come to grips with. So maybe some hard to swallow pills for some folks, but maybe no-brainers for others. But try to keep an open mind and try not to insult anyone's grandmother in the comments section if you don't like their opinion. In the background of the video, you'll be seeing a ton of Traveler's Chosen gameplay for those of you who wanted to know how it fares in SBMM lobbies after the rework to its catalyst. It now has surplus, and there are a couple of kill streaks in here where I have like all my abilities cooled down as well as 10 stacks of Gathering Light, and it's kind of hilarious how insane the gun gets at that point. It's a bit of overkill, as many stat values are long past capped out at 100 at that point. But while you're enjoying that gameplay, let's break down the top 3 things I think PvP players need to learn in Destiny 2. First up, PvPers need to learn that ultimatums are lame, and if you use them, you're most likely just looking for an excuse to overlook your own shortcomings. Let me explain. I see ultimatums like, for example, if you use a fusion rifle, then you're trash. Fusion rifles require no skill, right? I'm going to give you a hard-to-swallow pill as someone who doesn't even use fusions much anymore at all. You probably died because you put yourself in a bad situation. You got caught in between cover with your pants down. You didn't react to the sound of a charging fusion rifle in time to either kill the user or mix up your movement to make them miss some of their bolts. I see ultimatums like all console lobbies are bot lobbies and look so easy to play in. I wish I had those lobbies, right? I have to confess, I did a bit of an experiment recently, and some of you caught it, where I posted a couple of videos where all of my gameplay and clips in the video were actually in PC lobbies. And you wouldn't believe it, but I got those same comments. Man, I wish I could get these bot lobbies on PC. Geez, these console lobbies are something else. And of course, my favorite, these clips don't count since they're on console. Funny enough, when I responded to those comments and told them that those were all PC lobbies, not a single one of them replied, and one just deleted their comment altogether. But it also goes both ways. I see comments all the time from the other side where people say the only reason that you make this gun look good is because on PC you have zero recoil. Try it on console, it's a different story. And that's just funny to me because any PC player will tell you that the way a weapon performs is more than just recoil. And if controlling a weapon on mouse and keyboard was as easy as these console players often make it sound, then many of them would be flocking to PC gaming to prove their point. But that's simply not the case. Mouse and keyboard aiming is an acquired skill, and that's reflected in the fact that many good PC players actually run aim training exercises with apps made specifically for that purpose. While I don't think there are any console players who run aim training apps on their consoles to get better at thumbstick manipulation. Anyways, all this to say, stop it with the ultimatums everywhere. People use them to bash you for platforms that you play on, the guns you use, the input device you use, the playlists you like, the matchmaking systems you like, and much, much more. These ultimatums are almost always an excuse to avoid meaningful conversations, because it's easier to write off a whole group of people than it is to talk to them and find that you might not be 100% accurate in your preconceptions and sweeping generalizations. So learn to avoid these statements because most intelligent people see these ultimatums for what they are, a sign of weak character. Moving on to number 2, PvPers need to learn how to take an L. This is something that I had to learn how to do early in my content creation years. I know that I'm above average when it comes to PvP games, but I'm not the best. There are a lot of gamers out there who are better than I am, who take the game more seriously, who optimize every single part of their build, who commit to a playstyle long term and refine it. And I run into these people a lot. And I'm naturally a somewhat reactive person, so it's natural for me to fire back at people who take shots at me. That's something I had to learn how to rein in a bit and not just let it run unchecked. Because I get a lot of flack as a content creator. One of my best performing videos of all time is me taking a trash talker on in a series of 1v1s and beating him so bad he deleted his whole YouTube channel and his PSN account to start a new one. But on the flip side, I also published a video where some jerk came into my comments section and trash talked me for weeks until I accepted his 1v1 challenge. And it turns out he was not only a jerk, but he was also really, really good at the game, and he destroyed me in a 1v1. And I took that L, and I even published the video for all of you to see. But these days, instead of taking the L, players will find a reason to complain. They'll say it's because of the lag. It's because the other guy was using a cheap weapon. They'll take a loss on their trials passage and say that if they had played as cheesy as the other team did, then they would have won. They'll blame the game itself or Bungie for their matchmaking or for the sandbox or the map selection. And the thing is, any number of these excuses might even be partially accurate or entirely accurate. But it doesn't change the outcome of the match. It makes you look whiny to people, even your friends. It's so much better just to say, man, that sucked, and then move on to the next match or engagement. I always think of that Ted Lasso quote, which I'm told isn't even accurate at all, but it's still a good quote. Jamie Tart makes fun of Sam after burning him on the field, so Ted calls Sam over since he can see Sam is frustrated about getting burned and taunted. He says to Sam, hey, you know what the happiest animal is? It's the goldfish, because the goldfish has a 10-second memory. Be a goldfish, Sam. Now, whether that's true or not, it's still good advice. In gaming, you're going to run into a whole lot of Jamie Tarts, showboats, bad sports, taunters, and the worst part of it is that some of them will be better than you, so there's really nothing you can do about it. Best thing you can do is learn how to drag and drop those comments and exchanges and those matches and engagements straight into the trash on your metaphorical desktop and flush that thing regularly. The more you dwell on the L, the more power the L has over you. So disarm it by deleting it from your memory and moving on. So learn how to take the L. The last thing that PvPers need to learn is that development is slow. Unfortunately, this whole live service format has sort of conditioned us to think that meaningful changes from the studio can happen quickly since we're used to being spoon-fed content on the regular. But the truth is that this content is planned out years in advance. Think of it like a tap or a faucet at the bottom of a large vat. New content is prepared by the developer, it's poured into the top of that vat, and content that we are putting in our cups comes from the bottom of that huge vat. So we're consuming product that was prepared a long time ago and worked its way down in the queue. So when we find something in our cup that we don't like, the developers will often take that feedback and modify the product that they put on top of the next charge of the vat, right? But that product isn't going to make its way into our cup for a long time until we get through all the other stuff that's already in that vat. Now that can lead to frustration because waiting is not fun. And if the problem's really egregious, then it can be even harder to wait for the problem's fix to make its way to us. In fact, oftentimes it's going to get worse before it gets better because all that other stuff in the vat that we have to go through still has that same problem in its bones, in its makeup. So one of the best things we can remember is that unless it's a quick hot fix, then many problems that we identify with the game are not going to be fixed for months or even a year or more. Think about Destiny 2 Year 1. Forsaken was honestly it was a pretty fast turnaround for Bungie to address all of those issues in the bones of Destiny 2. I don't think they get enough credit for riding that disastrous ship as quickly as they did. Now that being said, it doesn't make it better when they ship things that are total duds sometimes that maybe they should have seen coming. We've had a lot of those too. But we just have to remember when we identify a big problem, it means we won't see a big solution for a long time. So set your expectations accordingly. So there they are. Those are the top 3 things that PvPers need to learn. I hope you enjoyed the list, and if you have anything to add to it, feel free to do so in the comments section below. And just a heads up, I'll have a sponsored stream for a mobile game later this month. It's a game I've actually played a lot of as well, as you'll see from the fact that I actually turned down the offer to use an account with some stuff on it already that they were going to let me use. I said I'll just use mine because it's got some endgame builds and characters on it that are better than what they were going to give me. But I wanted to give you a heads up so that you wouldn't be surprised by it. I appreciate anyone who supports these streams and videos. Thanks as always. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible.